gonna retire to Arizona?
No, because I want to be back home.
Oh, okay.
We went up there to Maine, took a windjammer cruise last September, and we had 25 knot winds blowing, and it was cold.
Oh no.
I mean, we're gonna narrate this.
Yeah, I'm gonna introduce them. They're gonna narrate it.
Okay.
There's the stars. Yeah.
Murph.
Already bad enough. Well, don't be pushing your luck now. We're not putting any benches up. All right, if y'all want to, you're welcome. I was told I didn't project that well yesterday, so I'm going to try to do better. If you'd like, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a presentation. If you can hear me, you'll probably hear him, but he's going to be holding up some projectiles, etc., showing you what they would have actually fired back then. So if you want to have a front row seat, it'd be right in here for the program. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to Gettysburg National Military Park. My name is Matt. We're going to have a couple demonstrations today. How many times are we shooting? We're going to be shooting twice today. And he will give you fair warning. Mr. Tom will give you fair warning before we light off the cannon out here. A couple of things before we get going. Please do not, obviously, please do not go past this sturdy barricade. What was the other line Tom had? I can't remember. You gotta know. Right here. If you've got extremely small children, I don't really see anybody, but cover their ears. If you've got pets, such as my two girls right over there, not funny, ladies. No. You might want to cover their ears also, all right? So what we're doing is we're out here and we're portraying the 1st North Carolina Artillery, obviously Confederate artillery. This will be loud, okay? If you've got sensitive hearing, you need to cover your ears. If you got hearing aids, you need to turn them down. The main thing, which I think that this park is very blessed with, is that Gettysburg is so big as far as Civil War parks go, that we basically have a different living history group every weekend. And the benefit to the American taxpayers, not only the education, but the fact that it doesn't cost the American taxpayers, it costs you nothing, because these are all volunteers who volunteered to come out here and sleep on that ground for you over there, and to sit through rain, shine, and everything in between to give you this program. How about a round of applause for these people right here? And Corey, he'll give you the warning when they're about to shoot, so you don't need to cover your ears yet.
We appreciate that applause, but we enjoy this more than you guys have any idea about. It's a very big honor for us to be out here to put this on for you. So we enjoy it just as much as you hopefully will enjoy our demonstration. So like he said, we represent 1st North Carolina Artillery. Our unit actually was about a quarter of a mile up the road here by the tower is where we actually fought and camped at during the war. Right? So the role of the artillery is to do nothing more than to support the infantry. All right? We are there to help get the infantry where they need to go. We would use different ammunition for different things, like taking out that fence area out here in the field, or a stone wall, so we could open up an area that the infantry can move through instead of being slowed down and have to crawl over something. The other thing that we do is we would move the enemy. If this group over here, I don't want you there, I want you out of there for whatever reason, we'd start firing here. You're not going to stand there for long, you're going to move over here. That's exactly where I want you. It might be that I know we have an infantry attack getting ready to hit you up here, so I'm going to push you all together. Right? So the artillery would help move the enemy into a more advantaged sighting for us. Right? The other thing would be that we want to fire against the other cannons. We want to break their wheels. We want to disable that cannon to soften that area up for our infantry to get in. Right? You don't win a battle by having everybody stand on the other side and somebody says, oh, okay, I give up. No, you have to have the infantry put their feet on that piece of ground. That's when you win the battle. So our job was to help them move and make that happen. The guys should be getting ready to no, okay. They're going to start loading here in a minute. And when they do, I want you to watch the 4 guys up on front of that gun. Each of them have a specific purpose and function to do to make that gun work. For an artillery group, it takes 8 guys to make a whole group or crew for the detachment to operate this gun. For the Confederates, we had our batteries in that built in 4 guns to a battery. All right. For the Union, it was 6 guns. We use 4 horses to pull our guns. The Union uses 6. It's just because they had more, they used more. So our company consisted of about 115 to 120 members. It took all of us to run those 4 guns. During we got here on the afternoon of the 2nd day and fought through that afternoon, and then fought the next day on the last day up through Pickett's charge. Our 4 guns, in about a time span of about 16 to 18 hours, fired over 1,100 rounds. All right. There was about 120 to 130 other guns on the Confederate line. Right? Start doing the math and think about how many rounds did just the artillery fire. It's thousands. And then you had the same over here on the Union side, all right, firing back. So this ground, you want to talk about EPA. This ground is full of lead, all right, between us, the infantry firing and so forth. It was just a massive thing of carnage for those 3 days here. So when you're out looking around the park, start looking at where is there water to be seen or found? Is there a creek? Where did these guys all get their water from? Where did they go to the bathroom at? Start thinking as you're looking at it. All right, go ahead and cover your ears on your command. Fire! All right. We're firing about 7 ounces of powder. That's about a third of the charge. That gun for a full charge is 16 ounces. So we're firing way, way low of what these guns would actually fire with. Second, we have no round in front of that. It's just a blank round. So if you would put a ball or a shell in front of that and that goes off, first off, that gun is going to roll back anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, depending. So you have to reposition that gun, re-sight it, reload it, and get up for another round. And you do that over and over and over again. A good cannon crew could turn around and do a well-aimed shot at about 1 every minute. They cannot sustain that rate of fire. That's way too fast for them to be able to keep up for much. So a more realistic, right, is going to be about maybe 2.5 to 3.5 minutes for each round that they were firing. Either way, you are really working. You're standing out there in a wool jacket, all right, and you're working. It's not an easy job. So each one of these men are trained for all positions. In case one of them gets shot or hurt or falls down, trips, Somebody else can jump right in and take their place. It's not like, oh, I gotta know that job. No, you train for everything. The artillery required certain things from its members. You had to be a little taller than the average soldier. The average soldier was around 5'6", 5'7", right? We wanted a couple inches taller. You have to be able to reach over these wheels. When we empty, this is our ammunition chest. When we empty that chest, right, we don't refill it here. They turn around and bring a case on, another wagon through that has a chest already filled. You have to pick that chest up off of here, place it on the caisson, take the loaded chest and put it back on. So it's two guys. They have to reach up, grab those handles, take that box off. That box weighs about 540, 560 pounds when it's loaded, right? So we need you to be a little taller than the average soldier. We need you to be a little stronger because you're going to be picking that box up. That gun by itself out front weighs right around 1,500 pounds. This part, the limber chest, is right around 1,200 pounds. Well, when you have to move it by hand, which you do quite frequently, it takes a lot of effort. So you need to have somebody just a little stronger than normal to keep up with that rate of issue. The next part of it is we want you to be a little better educated. Most of the men in the artillery were high school graduates or college graduates at the time, right? You have to be able, if I call for a round to be shot at 800 yards, I want that fuse that you have to cut to burn for a certain rate of time and the flight and the velocity of that gun, and I want that round going off at 800 yards. You have to sit back here and do the math. The fuses are not pre-cut or made. They're just a plain fuse. You have to know how many inches of a fuse do I cut. You have to do the math, and you got to do it quickly. The infantry, they required that you had teeth. You had to bite the round off to open it up to load your musket, right? Some of the infantry guys thought they were smart, and they would knock their front teeth out. Oh, I'm out of this, okay. And they were like, no, guess what? You became artillery. We'll turn around and use you. You don't need no teeth with this gun, all right? So, yeah, there was just every branch of the service required something a little different for their people that they needed or were required, right? For us, we could move, or we would move these guns by the horse team, and we could only do about 15 to 20 miles a day. It was too much for the horses to pull. We could care less about you, all right? Those horses, each horse was worth to us about 1 to every 3 of our men. So we could lose 2 men, but I'm not losing 1 horse, right? So we were always mindful of taking care of the horses, We cannot pull this gun by ourselves for much more than a couple hundred yards at best. After that, we're done. We're spent. So the only way that we get to the next battle or move further down the field is with that team of horses. Now that team of horses would be back here behind us on the ridge side, out of the way of any of the battle, trying to keep them safe. Because that's what the enemy love to do is, hey, I'll shoot your horses. That way that gun's not leaving the field, and we'll take and capture that gun and take it from you. All right, so we're very, very cautious about our animals. The other part is with the artillery is the ammunition and how that gun's actually fired. Bear with me 1 minute. All it is a brass tube with a wire. stop, it creates friction. It turns around and ignites what's inside here, which is mercury fulminate. Creates a small explosion to fire down into the battery, or the bag to charge. It's exactly the same today as it was back then. They are no different, all right?
Where do you get those made?
There's a couple manufacturers throughout the states. We do not make them ourselves. You have to bake them and cook them. The wife isn't going to like you doing that in her oven. This is what the one man with that long rope, that lanyard, he pulls that to ignite this, to set off the rounds for the cartridge, or the rounds herself, the powder charge. This gun is a 6-pound field piece. It is the smallest gun that was used here at Gettysburg. It's a 6-pounder because it fires a 6-pound solid shot. All it is one solid ball, 6 pounds. This is the actual charge, the black powder charge. So that would go down the barrel, the muzzle of the barrel, and a wire pick would go in and break a hole in this powder charge to open it up for that primer to ignite it. What we love to do with this round is fire into infantry and fire it down the line, straight down. It's not going to stop because it hit a couple people. Hopefully, we love calling it bowling for Yankees, because it's just going to come down and start taking feet, legs, everything from your knee down is what we're after. It does no good for me to shoot this way into your line. I might only get 1 or 2 people. This way, I'm probably going to come up with about 20. All right, they're getting ready to fire again. So cover your ears. On your command. Fire! That is what you never want to see happen. That is called a misfire. When that happens, even during the war, there is a specific procedure that you do. The first thing is you never, ever go near that gun. With the National Park Service, for us, we will not be firing that gun again. Not for this demonstration. It's going to take numerous minutes for us to clear that out. All right? But what has happened, just like anything, that friction primer failed to make a good friction pull against itself. So that's why all you heard was that pop. That primer did not go off in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, when that gun goes off, even with it, the small loads that we're doing, it's going to have a tendency to roll back. The other thing is you don't want to be up front near that face of that gun when it decides, oh, guess what? I want to go off now. Then you get yourself burnt. That is one of the reasons that artillery was required to wear, and we are required to wear, wool or a vest of some sort when you're up there working that gun. It's for your protection. So while we're waiting on them to go through their drill, I'll continue with the rounds. Next one is what we call case. It's a hollow ball filled with powder. Sometimes it would have some small shot inside with it. We would use this at about 800 yards and closer. We want it to, we would call for, I want case shot at 700 yards. That's telling the fuse cutters back here that are preparing this round, exactly what and time and so forth that I want it to go off. I want it to go off over your head, up in the air. I want it to rain when it explodes. I want it to rain pieces of it down upon your head, right? I want it to take you out. I'm not interested in just making you stop and look. And I really, no way do I want this being buried in a piece of ground or dirt like you see on the movies and the dirt flying up. We're not interested in plowing the farmer's fields for him. Now, about the time that you get in and close to us, we're going to change over and we're going to go to canister. This one is filled with 27 1-inch balls inside this can. When we fire this, it turns that gun into a large shotgun. At 300 yards, that's going to wind up taking out probably everybody from you down to about here. Everybody that's standing in that area, more than likely, are going to die. You're definitely in the front row. You're done, because this is going to hit you, and it's going to go through you. It's going to pick up parts of your buttons, your belt, everything else, your bones, and it's going to the next guy behind him, and the next guy behind him, and it'll go about 5 people deep on average. So it just wipes everything out. Up at the angle on the Union side is a monument and a plaque. Double canister at 10 yards. 10 yards is about the distance of this limber chest to where this line is at. At 10 yards with double canister, when the Confederates were moving through for Pickett's charge and they got up to the wall, they had 6 guns lined up right there. They went off all at once, everything that was in front of them. The lieutenant that was in charge wrote in his diary an official report that when the smoke of the gun had cleared, said the only thing that was left was a red mist in the air. There was no bodies to be seen. There was a foot, a hand, but there was no solid pieces of a body to make a distinction of what was there. Okay. The thing to remember with all this is our ancestors are the ones that have given us everything we have today. They had the courage. They were not stupid. They know what they were walking into. But they had the courage and the determination to come up and walk into the face of that over and over and over again. So on both sides, just be extremely thankful for your ancestors, because they are the ones that built what we have now. Like I said, while you're out running around, turn around and watch and look at the ground. Think about what the citizens had to go through at this battle. And when Lincoln came up for his Gettysburg address, which was in November, there were still piles of bodies of animals. They did not bury the animals. They were too big, too many of them. They were pushing them in piles, turning around and pouring coal oil over them and setting them on fire. So there were just big bonfires of animals every day. So it wasn't until well into the next year that the town of Gettysburg actually starts to get itself cleaned up from the death issues. Yeah. In a few minutes, once we get, you ready? Okay, they're going to try it again. Cover your ears.
Fire!
They're going to turn around and secure that piece and make it safe and put everything away. Once that's done, we're going to invite you down, if you wish, to take a look at the gun. Do not put your hands on the front of that gun. It has black powder residue all over it. If you touch that stuff, it will not come off. You will not be able to wash it off today. It's going to stay with you for most of the day, and it's going to stink. In fact, they're probably going to turn around and tell you you're riding on the bumper of the car. You're not getting inside with any of the rest of it.
Is that gun rifled?
This is a smooth bore.
Okay.
So if anyone has any questions while we're waiting on them and so forth, please ask.
Okay. Thank you very much. I was very interested.
Where did Catherine park? They walk back there. Do you want to wait and walk down to that? Okay, I
Look
figured.
at this. This looks like a good one at 2 o'clock.
I saw that too. And then there's a third day one too.
At 3:30. But that's back at stop 5.
Oh,
So
figures.
10 to 5. But there's probably enough time, an hour and a half in between.
Well, we'll see when we get for that one.
Yeah. That's
It was
perfect.
Thank you.